Attention! This is not material for passive consumption. It is designed to be heard with maximum concentration. The following revelations are direct, potentially disturbing, and may challenge your perceptions. Due to the sensitive nature of the content, its availability may be limited. Your experience on this topic is valuable. Leave it in the comments.
What if the neighbor you trust with your spare key, the one who waves every morning, who chats with your kids, is hiding a deadly secret? Right now, in your quiet suburb, your apartment building, or your small town, someone could be wearing a mask, their charm concealing a darkness that threatens your safety, your family, your entire world. Carl Jung, the genius who mapped the shadows of the human psyche, warned us about these hidden predators, people who blend into our communities, their true nature locked away until the truth explodes like a storm. This is the story of Robert, the perfect neighbor who seemed to embody everything good about Oakwood Lane. The warm smile, the generous heart, the backyard barbecues that brought everyone together. But beneath that flawless facade lay a deadly secret that turned a peaceful street into a nightmare. In this video, we'll unravel how Robert charmed his way into a community's heart, only for a hidden cache of weapons to reveal his sinister intent. We'll dive deep into the psychology of psychopaths, how they hide their true nature, and how you can protect yourself from the dangers lurking next door. Stay with us, because this true story will change how you see the people around you. Have you ever smiled at a neighbor, only to wonder what they're hiding? Have you ever felt a chill from someone everyone else trusts? Let's uncover the shocking truth together. Oakwood Lane was the kind of street where neighbors felt like family. Tidy lawns, kids on scooters, and front porches buzzing with evening chats. It was a slice of suburban perfection, a place where doors stayed unlocked and trust was as natural as breathing. When Robert moved into number 17, the street embraced him like a long-lost friend. He was in his late 30s, tall, with a disarming smile and eyes that seemed to see right through you. "Call me Rob," he'd say, his voice warm, his handshake steady. He introduced himself as a freelance consultant, working from home, always vague about the specifics. "I help businesses grow," he'd chuckle, deflecting questions with a wink and a grin. Within weeks, he was the heart of Oakwood Lane, hosting barbecues every Saturday, the smell of sizzling burgers and charcoal drawing neighbors to his backyard. Kids laughed on his swing set, adults clinked beers, and Robert stood at the grill, his smile so perfect it seemed rehearsed like a scene from a movie. "This is what neighbors are for," he'd say, raising a glass, and the crowd would cheer, swept up in his charm. But something about that smile felt too polished, too calculated, like a mask he'd worn 1,000 times. Have you ever met someone who seemed too good to be true, their kindness almost too perfect? Sarah, a single mom living across the street, was one of Robert's first admirers. She was juggling work and raising her 10-year-old son Ethan, always rushing to keep up. Robert noticed, showing up one morning with a steaming coffee. "You looked like you could use this," he said, his fingers brushing hers as he handed her the mug. Sarah smiled, grateful, but felt a flicker of unease. His touch lingered a moment too long, his eyes too intense. He'd ask about her life, her job, her son, questions that felt too personal. "How's Ethan doing at school?" he'd say, even though she'd never mentioned school. "Just a hunch," he'd laugh. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling he was studying her, like a puzzle he was piecing together. She pushed it aside, telling herself she was being paranoid. After all, everyone loved Robert. Mrs. Thompson, the elderly widow next door, called him a godsend, raving about how he mowed her lawn, fixed her fence, even drove her to the pharmacy when her car broke down. "He's like the son I never had," she'd say, her eyes misty. Mr. Larson, a retired teacher 2 houses down, dubbed him the mayor of Oakwood Lane, always chuckling at Robert's jokes. Even Emma and Jake, the young couple who just moved in, were smitten, inviting Robert to their game nights and barbecues. But Sarah's unease lingered, a quiet warning she couldn't name. Have you ever felt a neighbor's kindness was more than it seemed? The first hint of trouble came in late summer, 6 months after Robert's arrival. Mr. Larson's cat, Whiskers, went missing. He mentioned it at one of Robert's barbecues, trying to keep it light. Maybe Whiskers ran off to join the circus, he said, forcing a smile. Robert clapped him on the back, his laugh loud and warm. Cats wander, Jim. He'll turn up. But Whiskers didn't. A week later, Ethan came home shaken, his voice trembling. "Mom, I heard weird noises from Robert's garage last night," he said, like scraping metal on concrete really late. Sarah frowned, her heart picking up. "It was probably just tools, honey," she said, but her stomach twisted. She started locking her doors at night, a new habit in Oakwood Lane's trusting bubble. She noticed other things too, Robert's car pulling out at 2 a.m., its headlights cutting through the dark, his lights burning past midnight, the way he'd stand in his driveway, staring at her house when he thought no one saw. Have you ever ignored a gut feeling, only to wish you'd listened? In September, a delivery mix-up raised more flags. A package meant for Sarah arrived at Robert's house by mistake. He brought it over, his smile as warm as ever, but his words sent a chill down her spine. "I didn't open it, but it felt heavy," he said, his eyes lingering on the box. "Something special?" Sarah thanked him, her hands shaking as she took it, her mind racing. Why did he need to know what was inside? She started keeping a notebook, jotting down dates and times, when Robert's car left, when she heard noises, when he asked strange questions. Just in case, she told herself, but her heart pounded every time she wrote. Mrs. Thompson mentioned something odd, too, her voice hesitant. "He asked about your work schedule, Sarah," she said one afternoon, her brow furrowed. "Said he was worried about you being alone. I thought it was sweet, but—" She trailed off, unsure. Emma, the new neighbor, had her own concerns. "He's always asking about our plans," she told Jake one night, her voice low. "Where we're going, who we're seeing. It's like he's keeping tabs." Jake laughed it off, saying, "He's just friendly," but Emma's eyes narrowed. Have you ever felt someone's curiosity cross a line into something darker? October brought more unease. Ethan's soccer ball vanished after a game in Robert's yard. "I'll find it," Robert promised, his smile reassuring, but the ball never turned up. Jake noticed his toolbox missing from his garage, the same week Robert offered to help with a home repair. "I swear I locked it," Jake told Emma, his voice tight. Sarah heard more noises, low thuds from Robert's garage like something heavy being dragged. She confided in Mr. Larson, who nodded slowly. "I've seen him out there late," he said, "carrying bags, heavy ones at odd hours." They didn't say it out loud, but the question hung between them. What was Robert hiding? Tom, a skeptical retiree who lived at the end of the street, had his own suspicions. "He's too perfect," Tom told Sarah one day, his voice gruff. "Nobody's that nice without wanting something." Sarah nodded, her notebook growing thicker with entries. October 5th, 1:47 a.m., heard thud from Robert's garage. October 7th, Robert asked about Ethan's soccer practice. Her unease was no longer a whisper. It was a scream. Have you ever started to see the cracks in someone's perfect image? The truth shattered Oakwood Lane on a cold November morning. Mr. Larson was walking his dog near Robert's backyard when he noticed a loose fence board. Curious, he peeked through and froze, his breath catching. Under a tarp in Robert's shed was a pile of objects, with the glint of a rifle barrel catching the dawn light. His hands shook as he dialed 911, whispering, "I think my neighbor's dangerous." He didn't confront Robert. He couldn't face that smile again. "I didn't want to believe it," he later told investigators, his voice breaking. "He was so perfect." The police arrived quietly, their cars unmarked, and knocked on Robert's door. He answered, calm as ever, his smile unwavering. "Officers, what's this about?" he asked, his tone light, almost playful. They asked to check his property, citing a concern from a neighbor. "I've got nothing to hide," he said, gesturing to the shed. But when they lifted the tarp, the truth was undeniable. A hidden cache of weapons, rifles, knives, homemade explosives, stacked with military precision, alongside a notebook filled with chilling details. Sarah's work hours, Ethan's school schedule, Mrs. Thompson's medication times, Jake and Emma's weekend plans, even Tom's morning walks. Robert's smile didn't falter, but his eyes went cold, like a predator caught in a trap. Have you ever seen someone's mask slip, revealing the darkness underneath? The police arrested Robert on the spot, charging him with possession of illegal weapons and intent to harm. As they searched his house, the truth grew darker, more sinister. Robert wasn't a consultant. He had a history of stalking across 3 states, unreported because he'd always moved before charges could stick. His notebook was a predator's blueprint. Sketches of Sarah's house, notes on her locks, lists of her friends, even details about Ethan's favorite games. Leaves for work at 7:45 a.m. Ethan's bus at 8:00 a.m., home by 6:30 p.m. One page read, written in precise, unfeeling script. The weapon suggested he was planning something deadly, though he never confessed what. "I was just preparing," he told detectives, his voice flat, his face expressionless, like he was discussing the weather. Investigators found traces of blood in his garage. Animal blood, they hoped, but Whiskers was never found, and the question lingered like a shadow. Neighbors were shattered, their trust in tatters. "He was so kind," Mrs. Thompson whispered, tears streaming down her face as she sat on her porch, clutching a photo of Robert at her birthday party. Sarah felt sick, replaying every coffee, every smile, every time she'd let Ethan play in Robert's yard. Emma and Jake sat in silence, wondering how they'd missed the signs. Tom, the skeptic, shook his head, muttering, "I told you he was too perfect." Oakwood Lane was no longer a haven. It was a crime scene, its peace stolen by a neighbor they thought they knew. Have you ever wondered who's really living next door? Let's analyze what made Robert so dangerous, why his deadly secret went unnoticed for so long. Psychopaths like Robert are masters of deception, hiding their true nature behind a mask of normalcy that's almost impossible to crack. According to 2025 psychological research, psychopaths make up about 4% of the population, living among us in plain sight, often in roles that give them trust or influence. Neighbors, co-workers, community leaders, even friends. Dr. Robert Hare, a leading expert in psychopathy, describes them as lacking a conscience, feeling no guilt, no remorse, no matter what they do. Their emotions are shallow, their empathy a performance, their actions driven by cold calculation. Robert fit this profile perfectly. His barbecues, his favors, his warm smile weren't acts of kindness. They were tools to hide his deadly secret, to blend into Oakwood Lane while he planned something sinister. His charm was a weapon, honed to disarm. Have you ever met someone whose kindness felt like a carefully rehearsed act? Psychopaths rely on what 2025 studies call predatory charm, a calculated warmth that lowers your guard. Robert's barbecues weren't just neighborly. They were intelligence-gathering operations, a stage for him to watch, to learn, to map the lives of Oakwood Lane. He noticed Sarah's rushed mornings, Mrs. Thompson's frailty, Ethan's school routine, Jake and Emma's habits. His questions, "How's Ethan doing at school?" weren't casual. They were probes designed to build a dossier on his neighbors. Research shows psychopaths excel at reading people, not to connect, but to exploit. They see others as prey, not peers, their logical minds plotting while their moral compass stays silent. Robert's notebook with its chilling details, Sarah's schedule, Ethan's bus times, Mrs. Thompson's medications, was a textbook example of this predatory mindset. He wasn't just living next door. He was stalking, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Have you ever felt someone's interest in you was too intense, too calculated, like they were studying you? Another hallmark of psychopathy is an obsession with control, often tied to a need to feel powerful. Robert's cache of weapons, rifles, knives, homemade explosives, suggests he wasn't just fantasizing. He was preparing to dominate, to harm, to control. 2025 research highlights that psychopaths often fixate on specific targets, like Sarah, building elaborate fantasies of power or destruction. This obsession can stem from their emotional void, a need to fill the emptiness with dominance. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow archetype fits here. Robert's charm was a mask for his darker impulses, the part of his psyche that saw neighbors as pawns in a deadly game. His lack of remorse, evident in his flat response to the police, "I was just preparing," is a core trait of psychopathy, showing no guilt, no fear, no humanity. Even when caught, his eyes were cold, his voice steady, like a machine reciting lines. Have you ever noticed someone who seems untouched by the harm they cause, their face blank no matter what they've done? Psychopaths also thrive on secrecy, guarding their true nature with meticulous care. Robert's vague job as a consultant was a deliberate dodge, a way to hide his past from Oakwood Lane. 2025 studies note that psychopaths often lead double lives, presenting a polished exterior while their inner world is chaotic, predatory. His late-night garage activity, the heavy bags he carried, the odd hours he kept, all pointed to a secret life he protected fiercely. His ability to charm Mrs. Thompson, to win over Emma and Jake, to reassure Mr. Larson shows how psychopaths manipulate entire communities, not just individuals. They exploit our trust, our assumption that everyone shares our values, our conscience. Dr. Martha Stout, in The Sociopath Next Door, writes that psychopaths lack the emotional bonds that guide us, allowing them to mimic normalcy while planning harm. Robert wasn't just a neighbor. He was a predator hiding in plain sight, his deadly secret buried until one loose fence board exposed the truth. Have you ever trusted someone because everyone else did, only to regret it later? So, how do you spot a psychopath like Robert before their deadly secret is revealed? Start with inconsistencies. Psychopaths are charming, but their charm often cracks under scrutiny. Robert's smile was perfect, but his questions were too personal, his interest too intense. When Sarah shared her stress about work, he nodded, said, "That's tough." But his eyes were blank, like he was reading a script. Watch for a lack of genuine emotion. Psychopaths mimic feelings like empathy or sadness, but their reactions feel rehearsed, their eyes cold. Robert never shared his own struggles, always deflecting with a joke or a question about you. Notice patterns. Do they ask too much about your life without revealing their own? Robert knew Ethan's bus times, Sarah's work hours, details he shouldn't have known. Do they seem to know things they shouldn't, like your schedule or habits? Sarah realized Robert had information she'd never shared, like when Ethan's soccer practice ended. Have you ever met someone who seemed to know too much about you, but you knew nothing about them? To protect yourself, set firm boundaries. Don't share personal details with someone you don't fully trust. Your routines, your vulnerabilities, your plans. If a neighbor like Robert asks about your work hours, deflect with, "Oh, it varies," or "I'm keeping busy." Change the subject and watch their reaction. If they push, that's a red flag. Keep your home secure. Lock doors, install motion sensor lights, consider a camera system for peace of mind. Sarah wished she'd done this sooner before Robert mapped her life. Document anything suspicious, save texts, emails, or notes about odd interactions, including dates and times. If Robert sends a message commenting on your schedule, screenshot it and note the date. If he makes a strange remark, like noting your package's weight, write it down with the time and context. Keep a journal of noises, sightings, or behaviors that feel off. Sarah's notebook became her lifeline, proof she wasn't imagining things. Mr. Larson's quick call to the police saved Oakwood Lane. Your records could save you. Have you ever felt a neighbor watching you too closely, their questions crossing a line into something darker? Trust your instincts above all else. Sarah ignored her unease at first, thinking she was paranoid, but her gut was screaming the truth. 2025 research confirms that intuition is a powerful tool, picking up on subtle cues, like Robert's lingering gaze, his cold eyes, his too perfect smile, that logic might miss. If a neighbor's kindness feels like a performance, don't dismiss it. Talk to others, but be discreet. Robert charmed most of Oakwood Lane, so Sarah's concerns might have been brushed off if she'd spoken too soon. Instead, she confided in Mr. Larson, who shared her doubts, and Tom, who'd always been skeptical. Community safety isn't about paranoia. It's about vigilance, about recognizing that not everyone has a conscience. FBI behavioral analysts note that psychopaths are different. They're predators, And neighbors like Robert are proof. They don't feel what we feel, don't care who they hurt. Their charm is a trap, their secret's deadly. Have you ever sensed danger in someone everyone else trusted? Your instincts telling you what others couldn't see. Let's bring this story home. Robert seemed like the perfect neighbor, charming, generous, the soul of Oakwood Lane. He hosted barbecues, fixed fences, brought coffee, won hearts. But his deadly secret, a hidden cache of weapons, notes mapping his neighbors' lives, revealed a psychopath hiding in plain sight. His story is a chilling wake-up call. The people closest to you, the ones you trust with your kids, your home, your life, could be concealing a darkness that threatens everything you hold dear. Carl Jung saw these predators in the shadows of the psyche, and 2025 psychology confirms they're more common than we think, living next door, working beside us, smiling as they plan. They use charm to manipulate, obsession to control, secrecy to strike. But you have the power to protect yourself. Trust your gut. If a neighbor's smile feels too perfect, if their questions feel too probing, don't ignore it. Set boundaries, document red flags, keep your home secure, and stay vigilant. The truth about Robert shocked Oakwood Lane, but it doesn't have to shock you. Maybe you're thinking of someone right now, a neighbor who's too friendly, too curious, too perfect. Have you ever felt uneasy about someone on your street, their kindness masking something darker? Have you ever locked your door because of a feeling you couldn't shake? Have you ever heard a noise at night and wondered what your neighbor was doing? Share your story in the comments. Tell us about the neighbor who gave you chills, the one whose smile didn't reach their eyes, the one who asked too much and shared too little. Your experience could help someone else spot the danger before it's too late. The more we share, the more we learn to detect the deadly secrets hiding in our communities. If you want to dive deeper into true crime shocks, dark psychology stories, and how to protect yourself from hidden predators, hit that subscribe button. Danger. Radar is here to unmask the threats in your neighborhood, to guide you through the dangers lurking in plain sight. Don't let a psychopath's charm fool you. Don't let their secrets destroy you. Protect yourself now. Stay sharp, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.